How's it going, everybody? Jake here for Dude Ranch DIY. Welcome back. Today we are going to be doing a little bit of tree work, cutting up some firewood and splitting some firewood. And we're going to be splitting the firewood in a way that I've kind of tried before a little bit, but I've been thinking about it more and more often for the times when I'm by myself. And I think it's going to make things be a little bit more productive. It is going to add an extra step, but it's going to be making things a little bit more productive. So let me show you what we got going on over here. So for those of you that follow the channel, you know I normally stack and split directly into the IBC totes. And when I have the help of Chris or Sarah or somebody else, it makes things go much faster because I can be focusing on the splitting aspect of stuff and the other person can be focusing on the stacking in the tote aspect of things. But when I'm here by myself, I find that it takes usually like more than double the amount of time for me to split the wood and then take the time to stack it, while the splitter is running and like idling, in other words. So what I'm thinking here with the dump trailer is that I'm just going to split a bunch of wood, throw it directly into the dump trailer, and then once the dump trailer, is full or I'm done with that species, I'm going to raise up the dump trailer and stack directly out of the dump trailer into the IBC totes. Now I've done this before and it is successful. The stacking is a breeze because you just push the button and the dump trailer goes up, the wood all slides back. It's roughly at waist level. I can raise the tote up to roughly, waist level, at least when I'm filling up that bottom half of it. And then once it's halfway full, I can drop it down to the ground and I can minimize the bending over that I really have to do. So the biggest thing this is gonna save here is just that time from going, unloading the log tray on the splitter to stacking the wood in the tote and, wasting gas, just letting the splitter idle essentially. So we're gonna try this out today on an oak. I have where'd it go? Oh, I have a tote of oak over here that isn't quite full. It's from when Sarah and I were splitting. It's actually just like an hour ago, but it's a totally separate video. And it's not quite full, and my OCD has gotten the best of me, and I just want to get the thing filled with oak, and I want it to be done with. So I mentioned a couple videos back that there was a tree that broke out and split. It was a hickory, big limb. I cleaned it up, took care of it, but it busted out a pretty decent sized oak top as well. So now just the trunk, I'm staring at it right now, just the trunk is still standing. It's probably about, 40 foot tall, and it's pretty good sized diameter. And while it's still, standing and fresh wood and good, I'm just gonna drop that tree and we're gonna cut it up into log length logs, bring them over to the pile, and we'll be splitting those up, over the next couple days or videos, whatever. Oh, a branch just fell over there. Now you ask, why don't you just go to your big log pile behind you and take some oak out of it? Because I don't really have any oak left in this pile. There might be a log or two somewhere hidden in there, but it's mostly ash and maple. And then this stuff right here is the cherry that you saw me helping out my neighbor Sean a couple of videos ago. So I really just want to get that tote filled up to the top. That way I know, it's full and it's good. And also, since oak takes so long to season and dry, we can get a little ahead of ourselves that way. So let me show you this stick. So here's what we're working with. This right here is the oak stick, and you can see at the top, there's nothing really left to it. And that over there was the hickory. You can see where half of it peeled out. And it bent over, completely snapped the top out of this oak. And this is the remnants. You can see some oak leaves and stuff there. So I'm going to drop that spar. It's gonna land right here. We'll take it out with the Wicked Grapple, mark it up with the Mingo marker, and we'll make some firewood. Now I was able to get the dump trailer backed up to the splitter like this with the help of this handy little device that I made. I welded this up a while ago and it just slides onto my pallet forks. I drilled a hole through the pallet forks, secured it with that pin there, and I can put in any 2-inch, receiver type hitch. In this case, I just threw on a ball. Even though this is a pintle hitch, it serves its purpose and works pretty well. And because it sticks out so far from the front of the tractor, I'm able to basically like jackknife the trailer completely and get it right into this tight spot. backed up to the splitter. So let's get this tree on the ground. Okay guys, so before we start taking down this tree, I just wanted to make mention. It's something I've wanted to mention for a while, but I just always keep forgetting. These pants I'm wearing, these are called chainsaw pants. They are made by, this pair is made by ArborWear. Check out ArborWear.com. They make some awesome stuff specifically for guys that like do tree work, like climbing pants and stuff like that. But it's also just like really rugged, really well-made outdoor gear. Double thick sweatshirts, vests, jackets, you name it, they make it, including these chainsaw pants. These are essentially like chainsaw chaps, but they're built into a pair of pants. They have full coverage here. You can feel the coverage. It goes from about here all the way down to the bottom, wraps around your ankles and wraps around the back of your calf and the side of your calf. They have two different pairs. These are called the Ironwood. They just came out with a new pair that's even lighter and supposed to be a little bit cooler for the summer months, called the Dogwood, that I'm going to be buying in the next couple days here. But I just wanted to make note of that, because for the guys that don't like strapping up, chaps, conventional chaps, which I am one of those guys, do not like wearing the chaps and how loose and how they hang off your body. I've had these ArborWear pants for a little over a year now. I had another pair of Husqvarna ones. There's a bunch of companies out there that make them. They are pretty expensive, but what's the cost of a leg in comparison to like 250 bucks? When I do tree work every day, I'm wearing these pants, 90% of the time, every time when I'm climbing, and they're really good pants. You definitely see me cutting out in the wood yard in just jeans, which is a no-no. But now that the cooler months are upon us, you're going to see me in these ArborWear chainsaw pants a lot more. And like I said, I'm going to be buying a new pair of these Dogwoods that are supposedly lighter and more comfortable for the summertime months. So I just wanted to make note of that. Let's go drop down this oak spar. Nice little tip here, guys. You'll see I started my back cut on the far side. If you set your hinge on the far side, you don't have to worry about how far in you're cutting on that far side and having to go check it when you wrap around to that other side. All right, guys, we got this log dropped down and all marked out with the Mingo marker. I'm gonna start cutting it up. It seems a little punky at the base. I'm hoping that it's solid, because if it's not, that's gonna be a waste of a lot of pretty good oak. So we'll cut into these logs and see how they look. Okay guys, the MS362 made quick work of all these oak rounds. I think the majority of them are going to be fine. This one is definitely punky. That was like up towards the top. You can see it's already like cracked and stuff, but like I said, I'll just save, you know, the stuff on its way out for myself to burn. So now we're going to fire up the RuggedMade and try this whole thing of splitting into the dump trailer. I mean, this obviously isn't going to fill up the whole dump trailer, but you know, as I've been doing species by species, it'll be nice to just be able to throw it all in here and then stack it up into the totes and have, you know, a couple full totes of oak, and then we can continue on with the cherry and ash and maple. So fire this puppy up and get to it. Well guys, that is it. All the rounds split up, and we did so quite easily, I might say, into the back of the dump trailer here. Let me step up in here and show you what we got going on. So as you can see, we got a nice bit of oak in here. It's all nice red oak. The more like rotten pieces, I don't know if you can tell, they're like a little punky up there, I threw into the front. That way I can stack all this better stuff into the totes, and then I'll separate out that more rotten stuff that I threw up in the front of the trailer. But all in all, I think this worked pretty well. I did that. I started the splitter and it had 43.7 hours on it, and now it is at 44.6. So that took about 54 minutes for me to split all that up. And normally, and that's definitely more than one tote. And normally one tote for me, like splitting and stacking it in the tote, I get done in about like 45 minutes, I think. So, I mean, I definitely think there's more than one tote of firewood there. Probably two, or one big one and maybe half of like a small one. But as far as like fatigue, I'd say this was a lot easier on me, the operator, than anything else. You know, I'm not scrambling to run back and forth from the splitter to the tote stacking. Just throw it all in here. I mean, yeah, my arms might get a little bit tired from the throwing, but overall I think it's easier, and overall I think the stacking is going to be easier as well. I guess like the jury is still out onto what is actually more productive, because now obviously I have this whole second step of needing to stack the wood into the totes out of the dump trailer. But you know, this is as close to a perfect process I think as I can get. I gotta admit that, you know, these cutting logs that I cut all my wood on, I really have to shovel up the sawdust. There's like probably 8 inches of sawdust there. But these logs make such a big difference. If you guys cut firewood and you're still cutting on the ground, you should definitely consider just throwing 2 logs out and cutting up. If you have a machine that can pick up the logs, just bringing them up to like knee height and cutting them on logs like I do here, because that just saves my back and it just makes it so much easier, fatigue wise. Cutting, I used to dread having to cut because I would be, kneeling down. I was constantly trying to, avoid getting the tip in the dirt or in the mud or hitting rocks and stuff. And now with this, I mean, it takes a lot of the guesswork out of the equation. So that was pretty good. I'm going to throw back on the pallet forks on the tractor and see if we can get all this stuff stacked up real quick. Okay guys, so got the trailer moved out. As you can see, that little hitch thing I made works really well. And we got this tote here that needs to be topped off with oak. Now this tote is why I started this whole process today. My OCD got the better of me and I couldn't leave well enough alone and just, wait until I got some more oak in. I had to go cut down a tree and process it all into firewood immediately just to fill up one more little row of oak here in this tote. But you know what, that's all right. My OCD kind of helps out a lot of the time because I get compliments on having such a nice, neat, tidy, orderly wood yard pretty frequently on YouTube, which the internet is a pretty rough and rowdy place sometimes with a lot of critics. So it is nice to get compliments. I also am glad that I got that down because after splitting it, as you saw, I separated out some punky stuff. It was only going to rot and continue to decay even more. So I was able to salvage the majority of the wood, and it's nice, solid, good wood. So the longer I would have waited with that, would have just, would have been less wood I would have been able to get out of it. So we're going to finish up this tote here and then probably go grab another one and stack it up till it's all gone. Here we go. Well guys, that is going to be a wrap. As I label up this tote here, we got 1, Tote chock full of beautiful oak. This is a larger 330-gallon tote. We do still have a bunch of wood in there. Well, not a bunch, but you know, those are like the rotten pieces that I separated out from the good stuff. There really isn't much in there. Maybe like, I don't know, probably a little less than a quarter of a small tote. But that's all right, because like I said, I'll just throw it in my stove to burn this winter. It's all pretty punky and like nice and dry, so I can't complain about that. This tote will mark 47 full totes of varying sizes. So give or take, you know, I probably got about, you know, including the large totes, which are over a third of a cord, probably got about, you know, 15 or 16 cords of wood lining the woodyard road, which is good. That's more than I've had in years past. Granted, it's not all dry, but it'll get me ahead of the curve, you know, going into next year. So this has all been a long process moving to this property. Obviously, building up a stockpile, still trying to sell some to offset the cost of, you know, equipment and fuel and everything, and my time, of course. The firewood stand has been great at that. We've been selling more wood now that the temperatures have been cooling down. So all in all, I think we're in a good spot, and we're just gonna keep plugging away all throughout the winter. I'm excited for those winter days or afternoons where hopefully Chris will be able to get here and help me out after work, and we can really just pump out wood between the two of us. So I'm looking forward to that. That's pretty much gonna wrap up this video. It's about 6 o'clock here. I'm gonna head in. Sarah's made some pasta visual soup, which is one of my favorites, in the crock pot. Now, when I stopped in for lunch before, it was smelling pretty good, so I'm excited to have that. Again, these ArborWear Ironwood chainsaw pants, great pants. I will try to find a link for them and put it in the description below. If you've never checked out chainsaw pants, definitely check them out. They're worth the extra cost just because of how, you know, you don't have to strap them up. They're on. You're wearing them all day, and especially in the wintertime when temperature isn't really a factor, you really don't even notice that you're wearing them. So highly recommend them. But for now, thank you as always for watching. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're just stopping by for the first time, please consider subscribing down below. If you like the video, give it a big thumbs up. Questions, comments, feedback, throw it down there in that comment section. But for now, I'm Jake. This is Dude Ranch DIY. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you here next time.